Hi, my name is Jesse Sloan. I'm Executive Director of the American Association for Long-Term Care Insurance and the National Advisory Center for Short-Term Care Information. This video is produced specifically for women who are alone, and I really hate that term, but it's a general term not meant to offend anybody. Women alone could be someone who was never married, someone who was divorced or widowed, basically a single woman. But I think after age 40 or 50, calling a woman single has just a different connotation. So I'm using the term women alone. I want to also explain that our organizations do not sell insurance. We advocate and educate both consumers and insurance professionals. So after watching this video, if you want more information, please speak to the insurance professional who sent you the link to this video. If you're not working with one and you'd like to be connected with a long-term care professional, please call our organization. Obviously, we'll only be too glad to help you. Women today are living longer lives than ever, men too, but women in particular. If you reach the age of 65, the likelihood that you're going to live into your 80s, your 90s, and even into your hundreds just increases exponentially. And so the question that you have to ask yourself is, if that happens, what if? How do I plan for that? Because the reality is if you make it to age 65 and then into your 80s and 90s, the chances of having one or more what are termed disabilities, meaning the inability to perform daily activities of daily living, increases. As you can see, when you get to your 80s, the chances of having 3 or more disabilities all at the same time is almost 1 in 2. Those are the stark realities that men, but particularly women today, face. When it comes to long-term care planning, single women face what I call some harsh realities. As I said, the chances of living a long life are real. If you live a long life, the chances of needing long-term care are real, as I call it. 66% of all long-term care insurance claims, which typically are paid to people in their 70s and 80s, go to women who are on claim. As a result, when it comes to traditional long-term care insurance, women pay 20 to 40% more than a man at the same comparable age, and that's understandable. More women are going to be on claim, their claims are going to add up, so women pay more for traditional long-term care insurance than men. Women who are alone, one of the harsh realities is, if you think about it, you don't have what I call a built-in caregiver. If you're in a marital relationship or even a couple that's not married, just living together, have a partner, well, you've got a built-in caregiver. That person's going to provide care, if not for a long period of time, certainly at least for an initial period of time when you need care. Single women face 2 other harsh realities. Typically, you're well aware, the income is going to be less. And when I talk about income, I'm not just talking about salaries or earnings. I'm talking about retirement income, Social Security, pensions, even retirement savings for single women is typically less. That's just the average data that's out there and the reality. But everything is not doom and gloom for single women, and that's why I've put this slide in green, because green usually connotes some positive things. If you've read a lot about long-term care insurance, you've read a lot of averages and statistics, but here are a couple of relevant thoughts and facts that I believe are really important for women on their own. The first one is that 49% of long-term care insurance claims last 1 year or less. I think that's very important for you to understand, and I'll explain why when I propose a solution that you might think about in a second. The second consideration that you really have to think about is, how are you going to deal with the first 90 days? Most traditional long-term care insurance policies first have a 90-day deductible. That's what people choose in order to keep the cost of insurance as affordable as possible. So people understand that they have a 90-day deductible. What they don't understand is that traditional long-term care insurance policies require that you be certified to need care for at least 90 days or longer. And today, because of advances in modern medicine and other things, you might have a stroke. You might go into the hospital for a broken hip, but you're expected to be out of the hospital in a couple of days, out of the recovery center in maybe 20 days, and you might not be certified as needing care for 90 days. So a traditional long-term care insurance policy wouldn't even fit that bill, even notwithstanding the 90-day deductible. The other relevant facts are many single women today have waited to do any long-term care planning until they're well into their 60s or young 70s when they have health issues, and that precludes them from getting long-term care insurance. Or if you waited past age 75, most of the insurers won't even issue a policy after age 75. I talked about incomes being less, and so traditional long-term care insurance, especially if you're in your 60s, 70s, is going to get very expensive for the obvious reason that you're buying a lot of coverage and you're very likely to use it. So what's the option? What are your options that are worth considering? Today there are options, and there's one that I think is very relevant for single women who are out there. And this option, as I'll explain in a second, is called short-term care insurance. Now, it's a big yes if you can get coverage that has no 90-day certification required, no 90-day deductible, will accept applications up to age 80, and will accept applicants who have existing health conditions. So I want to focus on short-term care insurance protection, or as I call it, long-term care light. And in this particular case, I'm going to give you a real example from a real company. This company is called Medico Insurance. They're an A-rated company. I want to remind anybody watching this again that our organizations don't sell insurance. We're not paid by any one particular company to favor one or another. But I really think for your own education and awareness, you should be given real examples, and in a second I'm going to share with you real costs so that you can see if this is something that is of interest to you. So what are the key benefits that I think are most relevant to a woman who's on her own? The first is these policies offer up to 1 year of benefits, 360 days is how they describe it as a maximum. And if you remember, I said 49% of all long-term care insurance claims end in a year or less. So this typically for many people is going to be sufficient coverage. These policies have simplified health underwriting. Most single women who call our organizations have waited into their mid to late 60s or early to mid 70s, and they already have existing health conditions that preclude them from traditional long-term care insurance. I said at the outset, or shared at the outset, that single women pay 20 to 40% more for traditional long-term care insurance than single men. These short-term care policies very often use unisex pricing, which means a single woman pays the same as a single man. In this particular case, this policy is issued up to age 79, and it offers a 0-day deductible. First, it does not have that 90-day certification. It doesn't require that you're going to need care for 90 days in order to trigger benefits. That's very important. And secondly, it offers a 0-day deductible, which means for a woman on her own, when you need care, starting in day one of when you get certified that, yes, the doctor says, yes, this person needs care and meets the triggers, you're going to have benefits. I think for a single woman, that is something that you can't afford to not pay attention to. So just a quick overview so that you understand. Policies like this cover nursing home care, assisted living, home health care, or adult daycare. That's why I feel comfortable referring to them as long-term care light. The eligibility for benefits is similar to long-term care insurance, with the exception that you don't need that 90-day certification of needing care. I explained that they have deductibles that range, and they have lifetime maximum benefits. And Clearly, if you take a 360-day benefit, you're going to pay more than if you took a shorter benefit. But the option is yours to pick from. These policies give you a great deal of flexibility to fit the coverage that you want along with the coverage that you can afford. So as I said, we don't sell policies. You should request a copy of the brochure. You should request rates for your state. But I wanted to give you an example of what you could expect to pay. So we're illustrating a $100 daily benefit times a 360-day claim, which would equal $36,000 in maximum benefit. The dollar sign's missing from this slide, but the dollar sign's not missing from the premium. So you can see if you're at age 65 and you picked a policy with a 0-day deductible, you're basically going to pay $815 a year for this coverage. Obviously, the cost goes up the older you are because the closer you are to needing care and needing benefits of your policy. So the risk for the insurance company is higher. The premium that you're going to pay is higher. You can reduce the cost by adding a little bit higher deductible, a 15-day or a 30-day. You can get more coverage than this amount if you wanted it and are able to afford it. This is merely designed to give you something so that you can understand before you proceed to get information if this is something that you can afford. So if the premiums, the rates that you're going to pay for this coverage look like something that you say, I can afford that and I'm interested in it, then you should probably take a minute, hit pause, and read the information that comes directly off the application. You should do this before, obviously, you ask to speak or speak to your agent. These applications are much simpler in terms of the information that they're looking for than traditional long-term care insurance applications. And so long as you can basically answer no to these questions, they'll definitely look at prescription medications and others. But as long as you can answer no to the questions that are on this application, you are well on your way to being approved. So take a minute, hit pause, and read the questions now. So I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this information. I hope that it's been helpful to you. Your next step is, if you are interested in learning more, you must request a consumer brochure. Either talk to the insurance agent who shared this video with you and ask them if this plan or another plan is right for you. Or, as I said at the onset, if you want to be connected with a short-term care insurance agent who is appropriately licensed for your state, call our organization at 818-597-3205, and we will be more than happy to connect you with one. Thanks for watching.